Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up. It knows it must run faster than the fastest lion, or it will be killed. Every morning, a lion wakes up. It knows it must outrun the slowest gazelle, or it will starve to death. It doesn't matter whether you are a lion or a gazelle. When the sun comes up, you'd better start running. An African proverb. Kenya, land waiting to be explored. It is now possible to start an exciting adventure in the heart of the old continent of Africa. After a 6-hour non-stop flight from Istanbul. Kenya is a country on the eastern shores of Africa, stretching across the equator, with a land area a fourth of the size of Turkey's and a population of 40 million people. The first thing you notice when you arrive in Kenya is the left-hand traffic. This is something you need to watch out for if you are a pedestrian. Nairobi is a city at an altitude of 2,000 feet and a population of about 3 million. As a result of the surrounding mountains and the tropical vegetation, the city has a very mild climate. The local people are accustomed to tourists and are very friendly. The English influence is very evident in Kenya, especially in the capital city. The official languages of Kenya are English and Swahili. Swahili is a language spoken throughout almost all of Eastern Africa. 99% of the population is of local African tribes. The Kikuyu are the largest of the tribes with their 22% population ratio. The European and Asian population combined is only 1%. Kenya is home to many extraordinarily beautiful sights in the heart of Africa. The national parks and the wildlife preservation areas, and the endless beaches on the shores of the Indian Ocean are sights to see without parallel in the world. Nairobi, as a result of its location in the geographical center of the country, can be used as a sort of headquarters for various trips around Kenya. A Kenya trip starting at the perimeter of Nairobi can offer different experiences to adventure enthusiasts as it winds its way to Mombasa on the shores of the Indian Ocean. There are sightseeing spots that lay the Rift Valley at your feet between the 40th and 50th kilometers of Highway A104. The mysterious local geography of millions of years old inactive volcanoes is the Kenyan section of the long stretch of the volcanic formations beginning in northern Jordan and reaching down to Mozambique. One end of the Rift Valley begins in southeastern Africa in Mozambique, stretches through Somalia and the Nubian African plates, and through the Red Sea, which separates the Arabian Peninsula from Africa. The Kenyan part of this 6,000-kilometer-long valley bears many natural wonders which everyone needs to experience at least once in their lives. Lake Naivasha. The name Naivasha comes from the word Naiposha, that means wavy waters in the Masai language, given as a result of the sudden storms that form above the lake. There are many wild animal species living around, as well as more than 400 different kinds of birds observed in the area.
I wouldn't run. If you do, she'll think you're something good to eat.
It is also possible to meet a variety of animals on the Crescent Island that was the location for some scenes in the 7 Oscar-winning movie Out of Africa. You can get to Crescent Island in a small boat with a native guide. During the trip to the island, you will get a close look at the pelicans, eagles, and many other birds which hunt for fish, as well as the hippopotami around the lake. Many more surprises await visitors once they set foot on the Crescent Island itself. Many different kinds of nervous antelope and curious giraffe families live their lives in their natural habitats. As there are no local predators on the island, the visitors have a wonderful chance of walking around the island by foot. There are many floral greenhouses on the shores of Lake Naivasha, as well as many touristic facilities that let visitors enjoy a comfortable break from wildlife. Lake Nakuru is another beautiful site to visit, located 70 kilometers north of Lake Naivasha. There is also a settlement close by, under the same name as the lake, that houses the fifth largest population in Kenya. Lake Nakuru is famous for its pink flamingos and playful monkeys that live around it. The monkey species known as vervet are mostly found in East and South Africa and live in mountains up to 4,000 meters in height and on the savannas of Africa's rich ecosystem. The males grow up to 85 centimeters in height. Although they are mostly classified as fruit eaters, their diet also includes leaves, seeds, insects, and small rodents. As you head from Lake Nakuru to southeast Kenya by highway, you pass through the rocky parts of the country rich with vegetation as a result of the tropical rains. These tropical rains that feed Lake Victoria, one of the largest lakes in the world, pour down from the high peaks of Africa at certain times of the year. This magnificent natural occurrence is not just important for Kenya, but for the whole of Africa as well, as the Nile River that waters almost 3 million square kilometers of land and make it habitable is fed from the depths of Lake Victoria. Not only millions of human beings, but also a large part of the natural life in Africa is dependent on these regular tropical rains. The Great Plains of Africa, known as the savanna, inhabit a very rich ecosystem. The highway leading south from Lake Nakuru takes its passengers to one of the largest savannas of Africa. This land, known as the motherland of the Masai tribe, and known as the Masai Mara, is just north of the Serengeti Plain, located mostly within the Tanzanian borders. The Masai tribe are a nomadic people, still mostly living their old ways. The sunset in Masai Mara offers you enchanting magical scenery and unmissable beauty to behold. Staying in one of the many five-star hotels in the area at night and going on safari in the Masai Mara during the day is a common practice amongst tourists coming from all corners of the world. Safari means long journey in the Swahili tongue. This word, with its roots in Arabic, has entered the Turkish language as sefer. Safari in Masai Mara gives the experience of witnessing an amazing natural occurrence in the great migration season after the tropical rains. First come the rain-bearing dark clouds, followed by herbivores trailing the fresh green vegetation, and the carnivores that are after them. This twice-a-year migration gives you glimpses of an ecosystem unspoiled by human hands. There are different types of vegetation that feed different herbivores, and the lush plains of the Masai Mara are almost always enough to feed all that visit her. The predators are always on the lookout for the idle and weak of prey. This selfish leopard, who plans to eat this antelope he has hunted under the cover of darkness, all by himself, begins his second meal after digesting the first one. He surely has no reservations about being out of sight. This is probably an advantage of being on top of the food chain. These lazy cheetahs are going to set out for the day's hunt in a few moments, which is probably why they are playing amongst themselves to gather their strength. An elephant family, although they let you get close as they are having breakfast, never really put their guard down. The elephants of Masai Mara that have been hunted for centuries for their ivory can sometimes become hostile. As a result of this, it is understandable that the local people are more afraid of elephants, buffaloes, and hippopotami than the lions, leopards, and other predators. The reason for this is that these big animals themselves are terrified of the most wild of the wildlife in Masai Mara, the humans. It is easy to run into large numbers of bison and gnu herds, which are a kind of large antelope. During the migration of these great herds north with the movement of the rain clouds, the Serengeti is a spectacle to see with your own eyes. The lion, known as the king of the jungle, maybe as a result of the many Tarzan films, is the biggest representative of the cat family with its strength and size. Our camera spots a cozy lion pride a long way from their jungle. Don't let the footage of these safari lovers coming within a few meters of a pride of lions fool you. We guess there aren't many who have the courage to leave the protection of their vehicles in these close encounters. Although it is not common for lions to attack humans unless they have been provoked or are starving, two lions who went down in history as the Tsavo monsters killed 135 people until they were gunned down around a railway bridge that was being built over the river Tsavo, 420 kilometers southeast of the Masai Mara, in March 1898. It is possible to see the actual location wherein these events took place as you cross over to Mombasa from Nairobi by car, or even stay in the Man-Eater's Hotel close by. And if you are really lucky, on a clear day, you will take a souvenir shot of yourself with Africa's highest mountain, Kilimanjaro, in the background. Mombasa has been a commercial seaport for centuries, bringing the wealth of Asia into Africa. It has such an importance that bloody sea battles have been documented between the Ottoman Navy commanded by Emir Ali Bey, trying to protect the local Muslim population, and the colonial Portuguese forces. Half of the population of Mombasa is Muslim today. The air here is very humid, and Mombasa is a much hotter city compared to Nairobi. Seeing the sun rise out of the Indian Ocean and walking on the fine white sands of the beach is the best remedy after an exhausting safari. It is a very easy and low-cost activity to visit the coral islands that reveal themselves with the tide, and swim with the ocean fish in the blue waters to make the most of the day in Kenya.
This is where we are. This is White Sands Hotel, yeah? And this is the coral reef. Mombasa is here, and this is Nyali Reef.
There are many kilometers of beaches lined with tropical trees south of the island city of Mombasa, with its share of touristic hotels and facilities. Nights in Mombasa are another exciting affair. It is a delight to relax in one of Africa's select restaurants with its live music and menu of seafood selections from the Kenyan rivers to the Indian Ocean's East African shores.